Former President of the Nigerian Bar Association (NBA), Chief Onweze SAN, has explained that the executive orders signed by the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike were appropriate. Okocha SAN advised anyone who is uncomfortable with the executive orders to approach the courts of law for redress, if any. In an interview on Monday, Chief Okocha SAN lauded steps taken by the Rivers State Governor to fight coronavirus as well thought out and well advised. He said the steps will help check the spread of coronavirus. I believe strongly that the measures taken by the Rivers State government, particularly the governor Nyesom Wike, are well thought out, well advised, and I believe that they will, to a large extent, help to avoid or at least minimize to the barest level the spread of coronavirus that they now say causes the illness they called COVID-19. I commend the governor for these bold and very laudable steps, and the executive orders put in place by the state governor are appropriate. Everybody accepts that they are calculated to secure our safety and to reduce to the barest minimum the spread of this coronavirus. So I don't believe that anybody has quarreled with any of these orders. What I have heard are people flouting those orders, and Nigerians sometimes do not understand. Some of these measures put in place, some of these regulations, these laws and orders are for their own good, and everybody should do each of their very best to comply with them. He noted that it was on this basis that the Rivers State government put in place the Quarantine Coronavirus COVID-19 and Other Infectious Diseases Regulations number 2 of 2020, which is also in line with Quarantine Act of the federal government. It's not everything that is going to be on written law. By the authority of written law, some orders are made, some regulations are put in place, and those flow naturally from the provisions of written law. This is why the Rivers State government passed a law recently, and we also have the Federal Act, Quarantine Act, and many other such regulations that are aimed at dealing with safety and security and then health and well-being of the people. So anybody that is arguing that the executive orders are unconstitutional should know his options. He should seek legal advice and, if necessary, go and challenge those orders in a court of law duly constituted. On the demolition of Protest Hotel, Alode, Eleme and Etemete Hotel, One in Eleme local government area, Chief Onweze Okocha said the action of the governor is justifiable given the several warnings to hoteliers not to operate within the period. I do not blame the governor for his action because I'm aware that the regulation was put in place over 2 weeks ago for hoteliers and those operating drinking parlors and entertainment centers to close down at least temporarily until we get grip on how to deal with this coronavirus pandemic. Now people have been making all kinds of comments. The press and I have heard some on the airwaves. They do not seem to know the full facts of the matter. Yes, there was a regulation put in place long before now regarding the lockdown we have had in Obio and Akpo and Port Harcourt City local government areas. I hear that this happened in Eleme local government area, 2 hotels, and they were warned to stop operating. Indeed, a task force was sent to remind them about the executive order put in place by the governor, and they got their thugs and some local boys to beat members of the task force. So the governor left with no other option. We did the big stick. We also heard people saying, oh, he was impounding vehicles and arresting people on the roads for violating the law in Obio, Akpo, and local government area. What did they expect the governor to do? Fold his hands and watch people to openly and brazenly flaunt the what we know? Is that what they are telling us? So with the governor's action is really appropriate. Those orders were really appropriate. Anyone who feel otherwise should go to court. So guys, I mean that is just what has been going on for since yesterday, because the whole thing happened yesterday. And believe you me, a lot of people are not in support of what a Wike did. And just like I said, it didn't just happen. It didn't just wake up and say, oh, because the others were flouted. These things have been told to people. People have been told. I was even talking about 1 week before that time, and they said they were even informed. Not that they didn't hear, but the hoteliers has already come out to say, oh, it didn't violate any law. Of course, I think the best thing to do is to approach courts, and if the governor is at fault, they will iron the whole thing out. If the governor did everything out of a selfishness, they will iron it out. If the owner of the hotel, if is the one that is faulty, everything will be ironed out. That's just, it's as simple as that. But one thing that is pertinent is that people were aware of this whole thing before it started. So nobody is going to be forming, oh, I did not know, I knew about it, or I was not told. That is not the issue. It did not just wake up, or the executive order was just passed within 24 hours and they started doing it. They had enough time. They had enough time. A typical example of those who were caught on the road that were just moving from places to places, which he told some of them, some of them were arrested, some of them, he left them because their reasons were genuine. He just asked them to leave. So those ones that were sent to isolation centers, I don't know whether they have released them. They cannot tell us that they didn't know as well. People are always like, they just love to make excuses. And meanwhile, we want the best for our country, but we don't want to abide by the law. The reason why this whole thing is just like that is because most of the so-called governors, the president, the leaders as well, the politicians, they disobey the law at will. So people will not want to, give in to them, that since you guys are violating the law, you want us now to be law abiding. I think that's what is now bringing this whole thing. And people just feel like, oh, the punishment is just too harsh. Why would he do that? He would have just seized the hotel. He would have just confiscated the hotel instead of demolishing and all of that. Like I said, I know what I've spent in my business. I wouldn't want to even jeopardize. I wouldn't want anybody to use me to shine. I would just maintain, and just for a short period of time. So of course, you know that people will be saying different things, and a lot of politics will be coming in all of these things. And someone is saying here that an irony of tragedies. Here is a son who knows that only a court of competent jurisdiction has the sole responsibility for meting out punishment to defiant as far as the law of the lands are concerned. But for reasons best known to him, this son has elected to buck the system, a system that gave him all he has. But I wonder why he did not advise the governor to pronounce punishment on those taken to court himself instead of the legal process. What would have been better than to seal off the hotels rather than demolish them? No, sir, the measures was extreme, and we as a democratic nation are far beyond such measures. They are barbaric, draconian, and tyrannical. These, as you know very well, are undemocratic. Someone says Okocha is one of the political cabals getting millions monthly from Wike, but can't advise him on the excessive and abused use of power. 3 years to go. Wike will understand the consequences of his actions. Power corrupts and intoxicates. Absolute power corrupts and intoxicates absolutely. Some say no minor. They look for appointments, but go past them. The owner should sue him. Another says a court and nay lawyer. Listen to Falana. Men like you posing as lawyers through the back door are the problem of Nigeria. Even men we always support evil. Okay, evil men will always support evil. And somebody says here that what is your own qualification? Femi Falana has lost his vibrance since he became a member of APC government. Wike is in order. Not happy with that, go to court and hire Femi Falana to defend you. Let's see how it goes. Lawyers are from Lai Mohammed family. They can lie. We are very stubborn in this country. We don't have respect for the law. It will serve as an example to others. That is what this person is saying. But Wike's government must pay heavily for the arrogance of demolition. Nice one, SAN Okocha. Nigerians don't like the truth. That is why they are suffering now. That is how they were against a man that is governing them with the fear of God. They said they don't want him. That is Jonathan. That it is what they are doing now is to Wike. That is what they are doing now to Wike to fight to save them from death. Another thing is Nigeria don't obey laws because our leaders don't obey the law they created. I pray for Wike that God Almighty will help you and guard you. Just do the right thing. That is all we all always talk. That is all. People will always talk. I think that's what this person is saying. So guys, this SAN has said Wike is in order, that everything is okay. What do you think? Let's have your take on the in the comment section.